Hi, my name is John Kim, and I'm a therapist who went through his own rebirth. I share my feelings and revelations. I believe in casual over clinical and with you instead of at you. I come unrehearsed on purpose because self help doesn't have to be so complicated. So, John Gottman talks about the four horses of the apocalypse, and these are so important when it comes to relationships. I believe that if you have these things in your relationship for a long time, right? Not just once, but like if it's a pattern, there is a virus in your relationship and your relationship is going to eventually crumble. So, this is really important. If you know these, then maybe today's just a reminder. If you don't, as you're listening to these four things that can destroy your relationship, I don't want you to blame or think about what, if your partner is doing it. I actually would like for you to hold up a mirror, ask yourself if you are doing these things, right? That's what's important. And of course, if your partner is doing them as well, there's a conversation that needs to happen. But first, look at yourself. I always encourage people to look inward first, and then you could have a conversation with your partner if you notice these traits in your partner. And also, I want to say, if they happen, a couple times, it's okay and normal. It's when these things are happening as a pattern consistently over a long period of time that your relationship can be in trouble. So, what are they? What are the four horses of the apocalypse? Number one, defensiveness. We are all defensive. We all have that knee jerk to defend, right? And usually that comes from fear or ego, or wanting to prove ourselves or not wanting to be wrong. And listen, that's natural. It's only when you are always defensive. If you find yourself constantly in a holding up your shield and being defensive mode, and usually if you are a defensive person, it's not just in your relationships, you're like this in all areas of your life, and most likely you don't have many friends. If you're always defending your position, who's gonna want to be friends with you, right? That doesn't make you open. It makes you very closed off and narrow. So you may be like that at work. You may be like that with your friends. But if you are like that with your partner and you're always defensive, it creates drift. It doesn't create glue. It pushes people away. So ask yourself, are you defensive? And if you are, maybe it's time to stop being defensive. Be open. Listen to what your partner is saying as truth, right? As if like God is speaking. And then you could have your opinions about it. But don't come from a defensive place all the time. And I get it. There might be things that your partner is doing or does that makes you defensive, right? There's triggers. I get it. But it you break patterns by being aware. So be aware of when you feel your body constricting and you want to be defensive. And when people are defensive, it's mostly a reaction, right? So you got to put like an emotional speed bump there. Take a breath, understand why you are being defensive, where that's coming from, and choose to be less defensive. Instead, choose to be more understanding. Okay, number two, contempt. This is a big one. This is a character assassination, right? This is when your partner or you, um, when you're assassinating someone's character, when you're calling someone an idiot or dumb shit or an asshole, like when you are assassinating someone's character, um, it's very damaging. People don't forget that shit. Yes, you could apologize and you could make it better and the person can heal. But if there's a pattern of you consistently assassinating character, that's actually emotional abuse, right? So ask yourself, are you assassinating character? Is your character being assassinated? And if that's happening and happening often, then your relationship is in trouble. You have to stop that shit. It's not cool. It's a form of bullying. Um, it's toxic. So the other thing about contempt is it kind of like you're not just assessing someone's character, but you're also kind of positioning yourself to be better or higher than that person, right? And that makes the relationship lopsided, right? Now people are not equal; they're thinking they're better than each other, and that sets you up for failure in a relationship. So, is there contempt? Is there a character assassination in your relationship? If so, who's doing it? What are the steps that need to happen for that to stop, right? Does it start with a conversation? Why, if you're doing it, why are you doing it? Usually it's probably language and behavior that's learned, right? I have a story of when I was early in my 20s. I remember I was dating this girl, and I was young and stupid and reactive. And she was over my house, and I made like a giant plate of fruit. And when I stepped away, she ate most of it. And of course, I didn't care. But I came back and I called her like a pig or something. I called her a bunch of names, like just joking. But I remember the look on her face. I remember how hurt she was, and she was also, I didn't know at the time, struggling with an eating disorder. So you never know the impact of how hard the insult is going to hit. When you're assassinating someone's character, and even if you're joking, and of course that came from me always just fucking around with my brother and us calling each other names and never taking it seriously. That rippling into my relationships, right? My intimate relationships. So be aware of that and work on it. It's a big deal.
We'll be right back after this brief message.
One of the greatest things about the internet is that you can learn anything, anywhere you want, at any time. And there's a lot of noise out there and platforms that teach courses. I use Skillshare. Skillshare is an amazing online learning community with thousands of amazing classes covering dozens and dozens of creative and entrepreneurial skills. I've taken classes on how to produce content. I've taken classes on podcasting, on how to send emails. It's amazing, and it's super, super convenient and just streamlined. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you 2 free months. That's right, 2 free months of Skillshare. It's really easy. Just go to Skillshare.com/angry. Go to Skillshare.com/angry, and you will get 2 free months of Skillshare. There are thousands and thousands of classes on any topic. Go do it right now, and you can start learning to be a better person. Number 3, stonewalling. This is when you either because you feel like you don't want to deal with it, and you're scared to express yourself. So when there's conflict, you just kind of stonewall, you check out mentally, you're afraid to say something because you don't want to go down this road, or because it's just you don't know how, you don't have tools to communicate, so you just check out. When people stonewall, they're exiting their relationship. This is like when you hang up on someone, or you're in a heated argument and you just don't want to deal with it, so you just leave, right? You're exiting the relationship. Stonewalling is not cool, and a pattern of doing that doesn't resolve anything, right? It's just people checking out and being reactive. So ask yourself, are you stonewalling? Is your partner stonewalling? If this is happening, this is going to be one of the things that can destroy your relationship. So you need to talk about rules of fighting. And for me, if we're going to fight, because fighting isn't bad, it's how we fight. We're going to fight in a healthy way, and that requires rules. So if people are stonewalling, if you're checking out or leaving a relationship, for me, that's not cool. That's not acceptable, right? So for you, ask yourself, is there stonewalling going on? Is it coming from you or your partner? And if that's the case, you should draw a line. You should have a conversation saying that that's not allowed. It's going to force you or your partner, whoever's doing it, to actually face emotions and to communicate and to sit in something, which is extremely uncomfortable. And chances are people are not used to that, because that's not something that a muscle they exercise, right? They grew up with maybe parents who stonewalled, or they watched it. It's learned behavior. And so then that becomes the go-to. All right, number 4 is criticism. Now, there's a difference between constructive criticism. If my partner asks me what I think of her haircut, I'm going to tell her, right? But I'm also going to be kind about it. I remember I was dating someone briefly, and I got a haircut, and my stylist cut it way too short. The sides were like faded, and it's like a high top fade, like from the 90s, and it looked really bad. And I texted her a photo, and her response was, "You need to fire your hairstylist." And that kind of criticism, I think, is harmful. And we had a conversation about it. Told her it hurt my feelings and all that, and she could have approached it differently. And of course, it's just a haircut. But if there's a pattern of constant criticism, where you're being evaluated, and your partner or you're doing this to your partner, or your partner's doing it to you, but you guys are criticizing, what you wear, what you look like, how you do things. You're putting people under a microscope. There's a lot of judgment behind that, and that doesn't make anyone feel safe. So ask yourself, if people are criticizing each other in your relationship constantly. Now, it may happen once or twice, and it's okay, but if it's a pattern, right? And this comes from control. This comes from our upbringing. This comes from our shoulds and how we think people should live, and how we think people should be. And so by criticizing constantly, you're actually grabbing your relationship, not holding it. And by doing that, you're not creating a safe space. So these are the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. These are 4 things that if you see in your relationship, it spells trouble, right? And so you want to be proactive about fixing or dissolving these things before they destroy your relationship. Again, defensiveness, contempt, stonewalling, and criticism. I go deeper on this, all of these, and this concept from John Gottman in my audio course, Bulletproof Your Relationship. You can find it on my website, theangrytherapist.com, or just go to my Instagram, The Angry Therapist, and you will hit the bio link and you'll find it there. Guys, relationships aren't just, they're not just naturally healthy. We have to work on them. We have to build them. And in order to do so, they require a daily awareness and action steps. So this is one thing to look at, right? Is there defensiveness? Is there contempt? Is there stonewalling? Is there criticism? And if so, go get my audio course and I'll tell you what to do about it and how to resolve these things. Thank you for listening. Be well and love hard. Hey, if you have a passion to help others and want to become a life coach, or you just want to acquire tools to change your own life, learn more about our Catalyst Life Coaching Intensive. We are an evidence-based training program with an amazing, authentic, vibrant community, and we give lifetime support. Just go to my website, theangrytherapist.com, and click on Life Coach Training. Hey, before you go, if you like my ramblings and revelations and shares, I am now texting people directly to their phone. Just go to my website, theangrytherapist.com. If you want to subscribe, I'll be doing weekly text, 5 days a week, reminders, and also mindsets and exercises and challenges. And every week there will be a different theme, a different topic. So I hope to see you in your phone. And also, if you enjoy this conversation, I hope you help me spread the dialogue and help other people by sharing it. You never know what people need to hear. So if it's helped you, I hope you can help me help others.